You literally cannot make up how great this news is for the Denver Broncos on the injury front, not only for this team, but our opponent's team, the Seattle Seahawks, on Sunday. We're going to break all that down and a ton more in this video. If you're new to the channel, helps me and the YouTube algorithm out a ton if you would hit like and subscribe. So it is NFL kickoff week. Other than the Broncos and Bo Chapman Nix, our captain, our franchise quarterback, going into Seattle. Let me know in the comments, which game are you going to have your eyes on the most? I'm super eager to watch the Bears and the Titans game right before our game, just to kind of see. I think it's going to be Caleb Williams and Bo Nix battling it out for Offensive Rookie of the Year, maybe Rookie of the Year in general. So I'm excited about that, but I'm curious to see what other games are you going to watch and who are you going to be cheering for tonight? The Chiefs against the Ravens. Who do you think comes out victorious in that? I think we all can unite in the entire AFC West behind, man, let's go Lamar Jackson. I never thought I'd cheer for Harbaugh, but boy, oh boy, will I tonight. All right, let's get to the great news of the day, and that great news is that the Denver Broncos injury report is empty. It is, I've never seen it. It's like, why even put that graphic out if you are the Denver Broncos social media team? And I think in some ways they did it just to be like, haha, doesn't that look really funny? And the awesome part about this is that Sean Payton runs a tougher training camp than anyone else in football. Like, I guess some of the old school coaches, do the very similar things he did, but he went to the exact letter of the law that the collective bargaining agreement lets him do. Troutman came out and had to talk a couple players off the ledge who were used to not having as many padded practices and having food trucks on the field and ice cream trucks and all that fun. And Troutman had to be like, that's over. We practice really hard. So it is incredible to see that even with an old school technique, our injury report is spotless. And it's not just me hyped up about this or thinking this is rare. Mike Kliss, who's covered this team for longer than a lot of Broncos fans have been alive and is super, super plugged in, is like, hey, this is the first time I've ever seen a complete blank Broncos injury report. Now, I think it's important to note there are so many times in Sean Payton press conferences where negative people just kind of assume that he's lying and think that he's gaslighting us or saying stuff that's not true. And so there were a ton of times this offseason with Audric Estime's injury or Dulcich's injury or Brandon Jones's injury or Riley Moss's that people just like almost rolled their eyes when Sean Payton's like, we expect them to be there. And so I think it's important for the record that we keep track of Sean Payton told us the recovery time of all of those injuries, and he didn't lie to us. And I think that's important because when you can trust what he was saying then, that it came true, then you can trust when he says, hey, I'm not going to win less than 7 games. I've never done it in my career. And so I think that's really important to note. On the other side of the spectrum, we're going into Seattle, one of the toughest places to play, a team that has really haunted us for the past decade, I guess. If you think of us losing to them in the Super Bowl, what they did to us and fleecing us with Russell Wilson, beating us when we could have knocked it in twice on the goal line against them in Seattle Monday Night Football 2 years ago. So what is their injury report looking like, knowing that they have a brand new defensive caller in Mike McDonald, who they call the Sean McVay of defenses, and they have a brand new offensive coordinator out of the University of Washington. And so the fact that they have had so many injuries in camp just shows that they're already going to have a steep learning curve implementing 2 brand new systems, and they've been hampered throughout the preseason and still have a lot of starters who are questionable or who have already been ruled out for this game. Interesting to see 2 former Denver Broncos on this list as players who are questionable or at least are going into the game with some nicks and knacks and bruises and stuff like that. So seeing Draymond Jones, who was limited in practice with a hamstring, now that is going to be very important because they are out one of their biggest playmakers, and I had a chance to talk to Norb Cam 3 or 4 days ago, who was awesome. Like, he redeemed my entire thought about Seattle fans. He was not obnoxious. He was awesome. He just said there was a night and day difference between when Nwosu played and when he didn't on the defensive side of the ball. So without him, they really are going to count on a defensive front to need to step up. And Nwosu has but been ruled out of this game by not practicing on Wednesday. And really, it was a surprise to a lot of people that he wasn't put on that 4-week injury reserve period. They're hoping to have him back within that 4 weeks. But I would guess, man, this is not a very important game to them. It's not even a very important game to us. It's important from a vibe standpoint and all of that. But your out-of-division games are not nearly as important as your in-division games. So then looking here at that, they have 2 tight ends on this injury report. Also great news. We know tight end has often been one of the Achilles heels of this Broncos team. And I think the other important thing to note is one of their most important positions isn't even listed on this injury report, which I was curious about, but he is almost certainly not going to play. And if he is, I don't think that's a smart move for the Seattle Seahawks. So this offseason, they went out and they were able to get Connor Williams, who's definitely one of the best centers in the entire NFL. Incredible. He played for the Miami Dolphins. The Broncos were in the running for him to replace, obviously, what we lost in Cushenberry. But he tore his ACL at the end of, the middle of December, on December 11th. And an ACL injury is like a 9 to 10 month injury. And so 9 would be the very, like, hey, you're taking it extremely aggressively. Well, 9 months, that would be September 11th would be the 9 month point. And 10 month would be October 11th. And so the fact that my guess is he won't play. And if he won't play, then I think their center position is definitely as unproven and as untalented as you can really imagine there. So I think that would be fantastic news for the Broncos as well. Either way, just seeing the crazy disparity between a blank slate and all of 2 tight ends, 2 edge rushers, a defensive back. I think that's fantastic news for the Denver Broncos moving forward. Obviously, I think the Broncos match up extremely well against this Seattle front, even if both teams are totally healthy, but we are the healthy team. And so Bo Nix going into a hostile environment, this is shaping up perfectly. You want to beat the team at their best, but we'll take any advantage that we can get, especially when we are 6-point underdogs, which is laughable because I think we are going to come out and run this show. Other fantastic news is there are a lot of people who kind of, and I think it's Broncos haters, who like to downplay the fact that we have the richest owner in sports. And they like to say stuff like, oh, ownership doesn't matter, and there's salary cap, so you only can pay players so much. But I think this is an important thing to note, was that the Denver Broncos, because of the richest owner in sports, one of the advantages that you can have is that if you can front load money with cash by literally just paying out of the owner's pocket in cash and not waiting for ticket sales and merch sales and concession sales and all of that kind of stuff, it's a huge advantage because it lessens your cap hit. So the Broncos were able to flex that, and so they were able to take almost $12 million of what's owed to Courtland Sutton and give it to him as a cash bonus. So that is incredible because by doing that, we saved $9.5 million in cap space. So as we are trying to bite off the bigger chunk of Russell Wilson's cap hit this year, we still were able to re-sign Quinn Miners and re-sign Patrick Surtain because of kind of some of this amazing navigation of the cap kind of stuff that most teams could not do. I guarantee you the Cincinnati Bengals could not do this. Their dudes are walking across a highway to get to their practice facility. And so this is a really subtle flex, and you don't want to brag about capitalism or anything like that, but when your owner owns Walmart, you can do stuff that other teams can't do, and that's going to set us up in a really, really good situation. Sire Bettinger, my first listen of the day, always locked on Denver Broncos with him and Cody. They do a great job, but he did really cool job here looking at Spot Track and looking at how the Broncos, even though we are paying Russell Wilson for 2 years not playing on this team, from a cap standpoint, we're actually in a very good situation. And if we continue to be able to flex the Walton Penner ownership group cash, we can really end up bringing some phenomenal talent. And so we're not a rebuilding team. We are rebuilt. And now next offseason, we're going to have some space to be able to go out and get Bo Nix some more, get him some more talented playmakers. We're able to bring in some holes in the defense. I think, depending on how Cody Barton looks this season, is getting another inside linebacker a good position. We know that we have a couple great players who are on contract years, and so I would love to be able to see us do what we did with Patrick Surtain with someone like Jonathan Cooper or Baron Browning. Javonte Williams is also on a contract year. I feel like we've set ourselves up well with Audric Estime, with obviously Blake Watson, with Jaleel. And so you could see a world where you could lose Javonte and not take it that far of a step back at the running back position. The other cool advantage you have when you have great talent who go other places, and you don't match their offers, that you get compensatory draft picks back for them depending on the size of the next deal they get. So we're in a great place there, whether it's we let Browning or Cooper or Javonte walk. If they walk, we get picks back for that, which would help us continue to rebuild the team. So just overall, great news day for the Denver Broncos. Can hardly wait for Sunday. Hope you're all pumped as well. There's a lot of talk all over Twitter about just how the Broncos don't know what they're walking into with a brand new head coach in Mike McDonald and a brand new offense coordinator. And there's a lot of people kind of laughing at the fact that the Broncos think they even have a shot in this game. And they use Sean Payton's interview where he was talking about what they're trying to use to prepare and just saying, we don't really know what to prepare for. I think it's conversely, I don't think the Seahawks know what to prepare for with Bo Nix either, that we saw a couple of throws in that Indianapolis game and a couple of formations and sets that we did not see again. And I think you're going to see a lot more RPO, a lot more of Sean Payton trying to find who is that joker position for this. And I think there's going to be a lot of feeling out in these first couple weeks. And I like the fact that we have Sean Payton, who was 11-4 against rookie head coaches. And I think after this week, the Denver Broncos are going to be 12-4. Sean Payton's going to be 12-4 against rookie head coaches. He's one of the best coaches in the league. And I think the fact that he is co-favorite to win Coach of the Year shows that the rest of the NFL believes that as well. Either way, we've got a ton to look forward to. Great injury news. It's going to be a great weekend. We got a ton to believe in.